Alright, getting into the video. As you can tell by the thumbnail, we're going to be doing the Cleveland Browns preseason preview for you guys here today. But before we get into that, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell on so you're notified anytime we upload one of these videos. Let's go!
I lost gang members, I can't act cool. I got gang scriptures in my tattoos. I was running from the police in my trap shoes. Posted trying to flip 100, I come back fool. Come from nothing, but I blossom to a tycoon. Betrayal scars, case I think about them stab wounds. We might not catch him today, but he gon' die soon.
Starting off, we always do the recap from last season. Last year they were 8-9, and these stats are according to PFF. So if you like PFF, good for you. If you don't, well, good for you. They were 8-9 last season. They were 20th in points scored. They were tied 13th in points allowed. They were the 8th overall team. They were tied 13th for offense. They had the 5th defense and 7th special teams. So, very good team. The record just kind of was a little lackluster in a sense due to injuries of players and other things that we all saw from last season. So, but a lot of that might change. And hopping into the players that they lost this offseason, Dylan, want to take that away, my guy?
So, losing Jarvis Landry was a big loss, I think. He brought a lot to the team. It's just one of those like Moneyball things that the Browns like to do. Can't really pay somebody the amount of money that you're paying Jarvis when he was not giving you even remotely close to that amount on production on the field. His best assets were the mentality and leadership he brought, and that can't be like the norm per se. So that was kind of moving on.
I think he was also kind of out of the scheme a little bit. So his skill set in the scheme isn't valuable. Pay him.
And then MJ Stewart didn't make a lot of sense. We talked about it if you guys watched our Texans video. He was a really good player for us. He started to come onto it towards the second half of the last season when he was required to play more, and the Texans got him for like $1 or $2 million, which just makes no sense why the Browns would let somebody go like that at a position that we play 3 safeties, and you've only got like 4 or 5 on the team. Having that extra one that could play anywhere in the secondary is probably a good asset to have. I'm not sure why they let him go. That's one of the ones that just doesn't make sense to me. J.C. Treader, everyone kind of knew that this was going to happen if you're a Browns fan. I mean, the guy hasn't practiced in like 2 to 3 years, basically. He does everything he can to just get onto the field on Sundays. And, you know, all credit to him. He only missed 1 game for us, and that was because of COVID. Like, he literally wasn't allowed to play. But the Browns seem pretty confident in Nick Harris, our current center. He's the one that's been taking all the first-team reps, basically, because of Treader's situation. As you can see, the Treader just doesn't have a new team yet. I don't think he will. I think he ends up retiring, if I'm going to be honest with you. And then that kind of leads into Baker Mayfield and the trade, and I guess we'll just kind of combine this with Deshaun Watson with it. The Browns started going after Deshaun Watson, as well as many other teams did, and this was kind of after the Browns, you know, rumors coming out that maybe they weren't going to stick with Baker, and then they were, and then they weren't, and then they courted Deshaun, and then Baker put all that stuff out. So it's just been an up and down crazy freaking season. And then the Browns decided that they're going to sign Deshaun Watson for 5 years, $230 million, completely guaranteed, which I just think is a crazy thing. Like, $230 million is a lot of money, but $230 million guaranteed no matter what is just like mind-boggling to me.
That's an insane deal.
Yeah. Like, unprecedented. That makes, like, if that's what needed to happen for him to get here, I guess, but that's still just crazy to me. But that kind of lost all leverage with Baker, and so the Browns ended up trading him to the Carolina Panthers with his buddy Rashard Higgins, who he made a good rapport with down in up in Cleveland. So ultimately, I think it'll be a good move for Baker. I'm sad to see him go.
I think the weird thing
Understandable.
as an outsider is after the season, it basically came out that Baker Mayfield was playing injured, and chose to do that to support his team. And then after the season was over, you have players saying Baker's our quarterback, Baker's our guy, and then things started to come out like, okay, maybe they're going to look for a quarterback if the price is right deal. And then Deshaun Watson became available, and they got in this bidding war that they um, eventually lost. Like they were told that Deshaun's not coming there, and then a few days later, as things were impending, uh, something happened. The Browns came in and decided to make that trade with the Texans. But before they decided to make that trade with the Texans, they were like, I wonder if they were trying to see like, okay, maybe go back to Baker. Obviously, they couldn't, so I think they just had to double down on their the move to get Deshaun Watson, and yeah, they finally made that big massive deal, which as an outsider, just like it just seemed like an odd set of circumstances, like an odd pattern. But I mean, talent wise, when you have a guy like that, like talent wise, he's quarterback that wow.
Yeah, and like along with that, um, it's like a different situation, but also like how often do you see a quarterback of Deshaun's caliber, which, you know, your opinions aside, push that all away, whatever. Talk about it at a different time. We're talking football. The year he played before he was done with football was literally like talked about as a top 3 quarterback. Like the way you guys are talking about Patrick Mahomes today, they're like, man, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, like these are going to be the guys going forward. So like you like that's never happened before. You've never had a quarterback of like that caliber and magnitude like hit the market like open for everybody to go and get.
Yeah.
But speaking of going and getting, we can go over the players that the Browns picked up this offseason. And since we're on the Deshaun thing, we'll just keep going with that. Today is the 1st of August. The Deshaun Watson suspension is official. That's why we're putting out the video today. We've had it in waiting for a while. We'll throw it all up there, but we'll just pull up. Last night, the NFL... they put out the NFLPA. They put out like a little announcement saying that they're basically that they weren't going to argue or appeal the decision that Judge Robinson makes, and then they, ask the NFL to do the same. Like, we picked this person to come in here to make the ruling. Let's respect what she does and just move on. Which kind of made it seem like they were okay with what the decision was going to be. So that's kind of what everyone was thinking. And then they say that because Roger Goodell has the ability to go in there. The only way he wasn't going to be able to is if she went out and said that Deshaun Watson deserves no suspension in 0 games. Then there's nothing that either of them can do. But now that that's happened, the NFL has 3 days to go ahead and appeal that, and the Roger Goodell gets to just pick whatever he wants, basically. Like, he's got final say. That was last night, and then, this morning, early in the morning, we'll throw it up there again as well. On the eve of what appears to be the decision day, we find out that 3 of the last 4 cases, cases against him, lawsuits, they were settled. One of them being Ashley Solis, I think is her name. I don't have it directly in front of me. Like the first accuser, she was also settled. So it seems to kind of be like behind him. I wonder if that was just waiting to be done for when the decision came, because it just kind of makes like no sense why they're able to do it like the day of. Like, it feels like that's something that would have just been, they were just waiting to release it. And then that leads us to this morning, and Ian Rappaport is saying that they've been informed that they are saying that he's going to be suspended for 6 games. 6 games total, and that comes down to the difference between what the NFL and what Watson's team they had a settlement meeting before the hearing, or like before the final decision, and I guess they weren't able to come to terms. It seemed like the Watson side wanted that the most that they would accept is 6 to 8 games, and the NFL was saying that they were willing to do 12 games plus, and then like a heavy fine around $8 million. That's all the Deshaun stuff. Now to the other players that the Browns signed.
All right, so the other players that were added to the Cleveland Browns this year, we have Jadeveon Clowney. He was re-signed to a one-year deal, kind of move nowadays. After that, some notable ones are Mari Cooper being traded to the Browns from the Cowboys for pennies on the dollar.
Thank you.
But they re-signed him for relatively cheap deal at this point for a 3-year, $60 million deal, which Deebo Samuel just got $15 million more than that recently. And Amari Cooper is a really proven commodity as well. So great deal there, obviously. Moving on, though, we got Chase Winovich being traded from the Patriots for Mac Wilson, I believe it is.
Yeah.
We also got Jakeem Grant, kicker specialist, was recently with the Bears. We also got QB1 Jacoby Brissett coming from the Dolphins. Defensive tackle Taven Bryan from the Jags. A punter out of the Packers, Corey Boyorquez. That's it.
Something
Sorry.
like that. Yeah, I don't know how to.
Yeah. Re-signed Ronnie Harrison to a 1-year deal. Added Ethan Pocic from the Seahawks to a 1-year deal. Shore up that center depth team. Re-signed Sheldon Day, defensive tackle. Added Stephon Weatherly from the Broncos. And then the last one here is Hubbard, tackle, is re-signed. Shore up that offensive depth again.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel about your additions this year or re-signing?
I'm okay with them. We obviously, like, according to PFF, we had a good squad last year. The overall team was good. Just offensively, it was putrid. It was so bad. And they did what they could this offseason. I think that they didn't go after the wide receiver position group hard enough, personally, for me. But we re-signed Jadeveon Clowney, which was huge. I thought it was a really good trade, trading for Chase Winovich. Not like he's going to make a huge impact, but he's a good, sub.
Yeah, another body
edge
on the
rusher,
line.
right? Yeah, like somebody that can come in and take spots. And Mac Wilson just wasn't going to be playing much, and he wasn't performing for the Browns very well. We got the kick returner, punt returner, and wide receiver Jakeem Grant, which was a huge need for us. Like, we had awful returners, and Jakeem Grant is going to add another level to our special teams that we really needed, as well as Corey. Our punting was a big problem last year. In multiple games, we let up scoring drives because the punts were so bad that they just had a short field.
Yeah.
They signed some good depth on the defense. They did decent on the O-line. Bringing back Chris Hubbard was really nice. He was our swing tackle the year prior before he got hurt. He did very good at that. So if we can get him back, to just like an inkling of what he was for us, that'd be really nice to see if he has to play. I've never been like the biggest fan of Amari Cooper. He's always been really good, but he's always kind of like, he's not that guy that just puts up numbers for himself. He's that guy that does everything you're supposed to that helps your offense, and then he puts up his numbers that he does. But he's never been that guy that, like, I'm just going to go get me the ball every time. Which is good for what the Browns need it to be. And he's a really good wide receiver. I think he's better than Odell and what Jarvis were for the team.
Yeah. Well, to add into this conversation, let's go over what you guys added in the draft, because I think it helps a lot of the things that you're just saying too. So, didn't get a draft until the 3rd round because of the trade with Deshaun Watson. But you got plenty of picks to go through. So, first, we got the 3rd round picks: Martin Emerson, Alex Wright, and David Bell.
Yeah.
I think the most exciting one is Martin Emerson there. And then fourth round, you added Perion Winfrey, defensive tackle, and a kicker, first kicker off the board out of LSU, Cade York.
Mm-hmm.
And then to round out the rest of the deal, we got Jerome Ford, running back, Michael Woods, second wide receiver, Isaiah Thomas, not the basketball player, as a end, and then Dawson Deaton, the center for Tech. That out. So
I'll be hard pressed to see if Dawson Deaton makes the team.
yeah, it's a lot of centers on your roster.
Yeah, I don't know if he even is like a full 100% just a center. I mean, he's like 6'5", like
Yeah.
2 or 3, like 340. Like he's a big, tall dude, which is just not common for centers. So I'm wondering if they can just find a way in there. I think he'll just be on the practice squad. Unfortunately, Michael Woods, he is already off the team. He tore his ACL yesterday, actually, and they waived him today, 1st of August. So he's gone. That's kind of sad, you know, like you're fighting to make the team, you know, your 6th-round pick, and then you tear your ACL and you're out of the NFL just like that. It's kind of sad. And Isaiah Thomas, you know, you're picked in the 7th round for a reason. We'll go from the 5th round up. Those are the guys that matter to me.
Yeah.
Martin Emerson. What?
No, go on. You're good.
Martin Emerson was kind of confusing at the time when we drafted him, and then like the next day we traded Troy Hill. So that made more sense, like why that was going on, because there's some behind-the-scenes stuff going on right there. And then it's not prepped for like this year, but it's for the upcoming year. Greedy Williams is on the last year of his deal. He's been notoriously unhealthy, not injury prone, but like medical conditions that stop him from playing. He's got like neck and back nerve damage, so like some days he just literally can't do anything, which is just.
I thought it was from him getting blown away in the wind.
Alex
I don't
Wright
mean to joke on so himself. No. Sorry.
Alex Wright was really confusing to me, but then again, like they're just going for their future. Like he is a great physical asset. He's long, lanky, got great bend. You know, he's got like the body type and the athleticism that like a Jadeveon and Myles Garrett have. He just doesn't have the tools and the consistency. So that's not something that's going to be an impact for this year.
Yeah.
David Bell, on the other hand, he will have a really good.
I really like David Bell.
Yeah, he is going to be what Jarvis was.
Yeah.
Like I think just straight up coming in, I think that's what he's going to be.
Well, and like the thing with Jarvis, unless I'm mistaken, he caught the ball and he went down. He caught the ball and he went down. He caught the ball and he was out of bounds. And I just don't feel like he had that youthful spring to him.
Not last year. Not last year at all. He did the year prior, though.
The thing with David Bell that I really like is he's got the NFL size. I don't think he's not on the too small scale. He's not on the too short scale or anything like that.
6'1", 212.
Yeah, some people say he might be too slow, but I mean the 40-yard dash, is greatly influenced by your start, your get off. He might not have the greatest get off, but he definitely has lungs to survive in the NFL. And there's a lot of athletes. I think even Devontae Adams is one of those who didn't have a great combine, but was still a very productive wide receiver. And one of the things about David Bell is he was more productive than Rondell Moore, who went to the Cardinals, and is one of the most productive wide receivers in the Big Ten last year outside of Ohio State. And I think he's a productive wide receiver, which is something you can't really scoff at. So a lot of production for a third-round wide receiver.
Athleticism's great, 40 times awesome and everything. One thing you can't show at the NFL Combine is separation. The only thing you can show that is film, and that's what David Bell does, is just separate every time.
Yeah.
That 40 time didn't do anything to him in the Big 12 or Big 10. He separated pretty much every play. And that's what the Browns needed. If you watch them, like no one was able to separate. Baker was having to throw into man-on-man tight coverage the entire time. So I think that's a good pickup. My favorite pickup, Perion Winfrey, the defensive tackle. I'm excited to see this guy. He is a workhorse. We actually have talked about him a ton in our old videos. Like right after we watched the Senior Bowl, and he flew off. Like he was incredible all through the drills, and then he won the player of the game as a D tackle. at the Senior Bowl. It's impressive. And then the Cade York one, everyone kind of like, you can like mock it everything you want. Why did the Bengals make the Super Bowl last year? Evan McPherson didn't miss a kick. Like that dude was lights out. Like obviously had a good team, great quarterback, great offense, right? But multiple times they needed points, and McPherson just money instantly.
Oh yeah.
And the Browns, they could have made the playoffs last year if they won one game extra. If they just needed to win one game extra. We lost 3 games that could have been won if we made field goals.
Yeah.
So, like, we literally lost one to the Raiders at home with like our entire like COVID lineup.
Oh yeah, huh?
Because our kicker missed a field goal, and then right down at the other end, what's his name for the Raiders? He's a great kicker.
Oh, Daniel Carlson.
Yeah, Carlson drained it like nothing, easy. So I think this is a great hiccup. It's awful kicking at First Energy Stadium, constant wins. So having a good, consistent kicker with confidence is really good. And I mean, Cade York is probably one of the best prospect of kickers coming out. So I understand it. And then Jerome Ford, really good running back. I like the way he looks. But again, we've got Dearness Johnson for one more year, Kareem Hunt for one more year, and only Nick Chubb locked up. So another pick for the future.
Yeah.
But that kind of
wraps it up.
Yeah, that kind of wraps up like the off season and everything. So then it just comes down to, how do we think we are going to end up being this year? Last year, Browns were 8-9. Do we improve? Do we get worse? And now that we have that Deshaun Watson's only going to be gone for 6 games, what is it looking like?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys lost them in the games that I guess you don't technically need them as part, like your easier part of your schedule.
Yeah.
So just to go over, you probably can pull it up, but
I'll throw it up there for us.
Yeah, starting off, you got the Panthers, Jets, Steelers, Falcons, Chargers, and Patriots. 3 of those being rather weak teams, and then 3 of those being pretty tough competitors. And then the rest of the year is just all competitors, and then the Texans and the Commanders. And, the rest are just competitors. So you really got to fight tooth and nail every single game this year to get back to where you were even last year. So,
and I think it's going to be exciting because I think that's going to be like every year in the AFC. I think every team's going to have to do that. Like every week's going to be a dogfight if you want to make it to the playoffs. It's going to be awesome to watch.
Yeah.
But
what's your gut saying for your record? What are you thinking now that you kind of can see a little bit more into the future?
I think we go better. I think we make the playoffs. I'm a homer. I'm going for it. I don't care. But I can see the Browns going 3-3, 4-2 in the first 6 games with Jacoby Brissett. Like you can say like, oh, Jacoby Brissett. Like you guys, we won games where 8-9 last year, and Baker was our quarterback. And according to everybody, Baker's just absolutely awful, like literally dog water. He's never been good in his entire life. Blah 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 blah. So I don't know why it'd be anything different if we had Jacoby Brissett at center. Like we can go win those games easily. Like our roster's really good. We have a really good built team. So I'm excited. I think if we can get out 3-3, I think it'll be good. I think we can finish with 10 wins, 10, 11 wins.
I think if I'm going to give my full honest truth, I think you guys are going to lose a lot of games to start off, mainly because you have Brissett. And I know Brissett, because I'm a Colts fan, the troubles that you run into is if he has too much going on, like visually, he will miss reads and things like that. And I don't think you guys have a whole lot of wiggle room to miss reads in your offense. And so I can see some of those tougher defenses like Panthers, Steelers, and Chargers and Patriots having, a little bit more fun with Brissett versus Watts. So I think you guys, I think your floor is 7-10 and your ceiling is 10-7, but I am gonna go 8 and just I don't think you're gonna have as good of a year last year, mainly because Brissett struggled.
Well,
the main guy.
there you guys have it. You guys, Deshaun Watson suspended for 6 games. Brown season's coming up, and we're excited. I'm excited. I'm excited for football. It's close. It's like a month away, basically, at this point. But if you guys made it to the end of this video, we do appreciate it. Make sure you guys hit the like button, click the subscribe button. Make sure you have that notification bell turned on so you're notified when we make more videos. And just wanted to say thank you guys. We did hit 100 subscribers. We appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you guys for another video next time. Deuces.
Deuces.